Earth is moving through zodiac cycles. One full cycle takes about 2,160 years according to modern satellites. It takes us 72 years to pass through 1 degree of the zodiac, and there is 30 degrees of the zodiac. And as we're moving through these cycles, I want to remind you that the age of the Pisces that is ending right now, or has ended, has actually started around 2160 years ago, and right now we are in this huge transition between the old age of Pisces and the new age of Aquarius. But humanity is shifting much faster than we thought because, every time we start making new decisions, it puts us onto a new timeline. You may be living in the same environment as somebody who has a completely different perception, but you may be seeing crisis and everything that's happening on the world as great opportunities for something new to emerge. So you may be living in the same world as somebody who's in lower vibration, but you will see everything in a completely different light. You will not be affected by what's happening because you are on a different energy. So you're making different decisions that are supported with different mindset that is uplifted with higher emotions, and therefore you attract towards yourself opportunities that are invisible to those who are on lower frequencies. And you can experience that in your daily life when you're, walking through a city and it feels like you would be from another planet sometimes. Do you experience it like that? Like, you may be there, but in your mind you see it completely differently. Sometimes it happens to us when we're all living on the same planet, but mentally we're living in our own worlds. The world is mental, the first hermetic principle, everything is mental. So we're living in a personalized world that is interconnected with the collective reality. And once individuals start to upgrade their perception, uplift their mindsets, uplift their emotional sensations, they start to feel uplifted, and they also start to feel empowered, as they've noticed, well, if I want to change my life, I need to become the change that I want to see in my life. If I want to lead myself out of the troubles, out of the challenges, I have to become the leader that knows how to get out of that, right? It's not about avoidance of the challenges, but actually seeing through them, seeing what can emerge out of this situation. And when more and more people are doing that, the shift starts happening faster. It starts kind of echoing in the collective. We can hear it, we can see it, we can feel it, and that's what's happening. So in alchemy, there are 3 major phases that a person needs to go through in order to experience a transformation. And those are the phase of the Negredo, the black phase, the white phase, and the red phase. And white is important to know at this point. If we pay attention to recognize at what phase we are right now, we can navigate ourselves through these challenging times. The black phase is the phase of decomposition and chaos, which means that the old order that worked for us for a certain period of time is not working anymore. We can recognize maybe the old job we've been working at is not fully satisfying us anymore, is not fulfilling us, is not giving us a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning, a sense of inspiration maybe. And because we don't feel enthusiastic and maybe we don't feel a need to, to keep working there, because we know that there's something greater that can happen if we actually step outside of the comfort zone. We start experiencing a chaos because we are not feeding that old lifestyle anymore. It happens to many of us. When we notice that something is not working, a part of us stops supporting that process, that lifestyle. Maybe unconsciously, but at some point we recognize, well, I don't want to live my life that way anymore. And that's where we start experiencing a chaos. In relationships it happens. For a certain period of time you can avoid certain conflict. So you're not being honest, you're not being truthful towards that person. But at some point you recognize, well, I have to tell that person that this is what I don't tolerate anymore. This is what I don't want to experience anymore in this relationship. And that leads to maybe to a chaos. That leads to a separation between you two. But eventually it leads to a greater self-empowerment, because you've recognized, well, if I don't tolerate this to happen, I have to walk away. I have to honor myself to such a degree that I do what I know that is best for me, right? And that's what the Negreda phase, the black phase, initiates. It initiates a change, a chaos that leads into a new order. And that's what is leading us into the white phase, the albedo phase, which represents purification and renewal. When we find ourselves in the middle of the chaos, in the middle of chaotic times, we start recognizing what is not serving us at this point, what is not helping us. Do we need to move ourselves to a new place? Do we need to separate ourselves from certain people? Do we need to change a job? Do we need to change our habits? Do we need to change our diet, or whatever it is? And we can notice that many people are doing that right now. We can feel it, we can notice it in science. This is happening. A lot of old stories are not supported anymore. Even the story of our history is not supported anymore. A new science is coming up, noticing that the history is actually much different than we've been taught, right? The history about ancient Egypt is coming out in a completely new light. The pyramids are much older than we thought they are, which means that the civilization is much older than we thought it is, which means that maybe we haven't evolved the way that old science taught us that we were. And there's a lot of science. For example, there's a science about our DNA manipulation that happened around 200,000 years ago. And it just tells us that something happened that we were not told, right? And then we see what's happening. Suddenly people started talking about UFOs all over the place, aliens and things like that, which is again nothing new. But we can notice that something is changing drastically. And the white phase represents purification. In this phase, people are noticing what to declutter from their lives. We see a lot of maybe toxicity present on social media, maybe in news, maybe in our personal lives. And during this phase of albedo, people are completely purifying their lives from the old way of living, so they can start feeding a new one, a vision for the future, something that is more uplifted, something that is healthier and more inspiring. And once we fully identify what is the life we want to live, in this white phase, it's really important to have clarity around our future goals, around our vision for the future, who we are becoming, how we are feeling as more evolved and, let's say, wiser versions of ourselves. We have to have a vision of who we are becoming. And as this idea of manifestation, the concept of manipulation of reality is becoming more popularized right now, it leads people into a deeper degree of thinking and recognizing, oh, actually I have the power over how I'm choosing to experience my life. And because this is happening on a much faster pace than we thought, due to the internet and everything that's happening, humanity's shift is coming much sooner. And it leads us into the red phase, Rubeda, which signifies perfection and the attainment of the Philosopher's Stone, who is a master of spiritual enlightenment and inner transformation. Well, it all sounds quite mystical, but it actually means that you become a master of your habits, you become a master of your mindset, you become a master of emotional regulation, and we all know this is a process. This is actually a long process we are aiming towards to become better at it. And that is what can lead us into the golden age, the age of Aquarius. As I said, we are in this phase of the split between the old Earth and the new Earth. We are getting onto the new Earth. Some people are already there. It's a mental concept. When you recognize that you start to feel more aligned with yourself, you start to feel more aligned with nature, with the universe, you start to feel like everything makes more sense. And you start appreciating yourself more. You start noticing the power of your efforts. You start recognizing your energy as a force which you can use for investment. This is the real investment. Your efforts are the realest investment you can ever make. And once you start recognizing that, you will notice that every time you invest your energy into something you prioritize, you change your timeline, which means that you start walking towards what you've been visualizing. And as you start walking towards what you've been visualizing, you start meeting completely new opportunities. You start meeting people you never thought possible. You start meeting ideas that you can't understand where they came from. And if we understand this concept from quantum physics, that nothing is new, everything already exists, we just draw it from the field of potentials. We recognize that when we shift ourselves onto a new timeline, we start downloading ideas, insights, inspiration, visions, concepts that can help us to make our vision possible. So it's not so much mystical, then it is actually a work of actualization. It is a work of actualization of a vision into reality, where you have to be perceptive to what is finding you. And in order to be perceptive for what is finding you, you have to have a pure energy. You have to have clarity in your mind and peace in your heart. And when more and more people are attaining that, becoming that version of themselves, the whole collective becomes affected by it, because stronger the energy, stronger will be the effects by it, by the shift of individuals. And more people start doing that, more people start feeling that, and more people start feeling that, faster this process start to happen. And therefore people go through those dark phases much faster, and they last for shorter period of time because they maybe recognize what they need to know much faster. But it's not an easy process. It's a process for the brave ones. That's why many people are rather go into technology and distract themselves with their phones, with social media, with movies, music, whatever. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that. We can use it for entertainment. We can use it for inspiration. We can use it to lose ourselves in the stories of creative writings behind movies, scripts, and so on. Nothing wrong with that. We can be inspired by anything we see. But if we use it as an escaping mechanism from our disturbing lives, then we'll not be able to face with our shadows. And the reminder is to integrate the shadow within your beingness and recognize what you can learn from your own shadow, maybe through deep meditation And that's where you can actually use the inspiration you see in the movies, like the hero's journey that is embodied in many different movies. You can find the stories of inspiration, how they needed to embody at certain period of their time, their shadow aspect. They needed to embody, they needed to embrace it. And once they've embraced it, they've become really, really powerful. And those are all inspirational ideas that we can find all around all around the world, in movies, in cultures, in music, in books, in anything that finds us during this process of awakening. But we have to understand that it was never about the final goal, the final destination. It was never about getting there. Sometimes people think, oh, I wish I would already be there, or I hope it would happen sooner, or I wish, it would already be here. But what this process was always about was about wisdom we are gaining as we are moving through experiences. We are becoming wiser, we are becoming more intelligent, and that leads to an evolution of the soul, evolution of the spirit, from mind to body to soul. That's how it goes when it comes to inner growth. Firstly, we learn something mentally, intellectually. We learn a new idea, a new knowledge, a new concept. And as we embody that new knowledge, it becomes a new habit. We start building and changing our habits. And as we build new habits, we train our bodies to behave differently, right? So the wisdom is implemented in our subconscious mind, so our bodies can naturally do it, automatically almost do it. And it leads to new experiences, and experiences are the food for the soul. So we need to look for the knowledge that can empower us. We need to look for the information that can help us to grow, so we can see opportunities out of what's falling apart. Because it's easy to fall into fear state. It's easy to, to lose ourselves in what is falling apart. But to be brave enough to see a new beginning, it takes wisdom. It takes courage. It takes clarity. And for clarity, you have to have discipline. You have to have well-structured routines that can help you to move through this process with ease, with persistence, with understanding, compassion, kindness, empathy, and being grounded, staying grounded. That's what it means. And if you're able to do that, if you're able to build this kind of discipline through certain routines, maybe rituals, certain system that supports this process, like being surrounded with good books, being surrounded with right people, being surrounded with mentors, maybe coaches, maybe having someone who can guide you through it, or just having around you people who are on the same journey, so you can exchange the information you're receiving through experiences. You will notice, oh, we are all going through the same process, right? But all of us are going through unique experiences because we need them. And all the experiences, as I said, are food for the soul. And at some point we recognize the real value in that. And once we recognize it, we stop attaching ourselves to the outcome and we start enjoying the journey of getting there. So everything that finds us, we see it as a great opportunity that the universe brought to us in order to grow, to learn to be more joyful about life, and to see it as a part of abundance that is constantly presented to us. More we learn to be grateful for whatever is finding us, more of the great things will start to find us. So, my friends, the shift is coming much sooner than we thought. And I hope this information can help you to navigate yourself through this process. We've just entered into a Virgo season, so yesterday's video can give you a lot of insights and information around that, so go there and check it out. I hope you've enjoyed in today's painting, my friends. I'm sending you all lots of love, blessings, and power. Till next time, thank you so much for supporting my art in our Etsy shop. I Draw My Passion. You're all truly appreciated. Stay beautiful, stay magnificent, stay creative, and let me know in the comment section how this video inspired you. Share some gratitude and love, and see you in the next one. One love.